The Brewers have finally signed somebody in free agency. I thought they were officially done, but they did go into this free agency and they did spend some money. Not much though, but they did sign somebody. And it's an old friend too. So, hey, lots to get to.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, about now, about now, about now.
What is poppin', y'all? It is your man, Clubboy Bells. Welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports, where, of course, we talk nothing about Wisconsin sports. I mean, what else? But, hey, Brewers made some more free agency moves a couple days ago. Figured I'd obviously talk about that. Most importantly, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, let's get down to business. So, of course, later in that day, the Brewers decided to bring back an old friend. A lot of people obviously remember him for a good old playoff run, but left-hander Wade Miley. We decided to bring him back. He obviously is known for starting the consecutive National League Championship Series games in the Brewers in 2018. Of course, he started Games 5 and Game 6 back-to-back. Of course, it was a smart move because the Brewers started him against one person in Game 5, pulled him immediately and started someone else as a smart move. You know, it was one of the smartest moves Council ever did. So, it's crazy. But sources, he's 36 years old. He's at the end of his career. But it's great to bring him back. $4.5 million. Not much, but it's great. I mean, so anyways, hitting no snags. He hasn't been the most healthiest, but he was limited only 37 innings with the Cubs. He was with the Cubs last season. And, it wasn't the greatest situation. Also, we traded for somebody as well. I'll obviously talk more in depth on both of them, but we got Bryse Wilson for the Pirates on cash for Wednesday. So that's also a great thing that we got. So anything can honestly happen. I mean, with both of these moves, we have depth now. Like Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Eric Lauer, Aaron Ashby, Adrian Hauser. That's 6 people. Now you've got those 2 guys. Our starting pitching depth is insane, and definitely a lot of those guys could definitely be huge people to come out of the bullpen. So it's great. It's great stuff. Honestly, anything can happen, but recent history suggests Miley, he can turn that 6-man group into like 7 if he's healthy. And back when he's in 2018, he had a 2.57 ERA in 16 regular season starts before scattering 2 runs over 14 and 2/3 innings over 4 starts in that year's postseason. Those starts included a gambit in the NLCS against the Dodgers, in which Miley pitched 5 2/3 scoreless innings after Game 2, started Game 5 in LA, only to depart after one batter, a move that befuddled the broadcasters as one intended to produce a favorable matchup or 2 for right-hander Brandon Woodruff when he emerged from the bullpen. Whether it was successful or not is debatable. The Dodgers did win this game. However, Miley started Game 6 in Milwaukee and pushed the 5th inning, so the Brewers could have that victory and push the series to Game 7, even though they ended up losing Game 7. Since then, Miley pitched for the Astros, the Reds, and the Cubs. He had a 3.98 ERA, 33 starts for Houston in 2019, and 3.37 ERA in 28 starts for Cincinnati, and including a no-hitter last year against Cleveland. Of course, 2022, ruined by injuries. He only pitched 9 times for the Cubs that season, 8 starts, and finished with a 3.16 ERA in 36 innings. 2 stints on the IL, and they just said, let's not play him because he's not really that worth it. His agreement with the Brewers includes incentives for durability, and he would get $3.5 million in 2023 and a $10 million mutual option for 24 with $1 million buyout. Because Miley's agreement is pending a physical, the Brewers didn't immediately make the corresponding move, but they did designate Trevor Kelly for assignment so they could make room for Wilson, who was traded earlier that day. Bryse Wilson, he got acquired from Pittsburgh in exchange for cash. Wilson. So let's talk about Wilson. He reached the majors as a 20-year-old with the Braves in 2018, made a splash as a 22-year-old when he was thrust into Atlanta's rotation in a pinch and delivered 6 innings and won a run ball game in Game 4 of the 20 NL Championship Series, outpitching Clayton Kershaw for a win that temporarily put the Braves one victory from the World Series. He was dealt to the Pirates following the trade deadline, but still hasn't really sustained success in the big leagues, going 9-17 with a 5.54 ERA in 56 games, including 43 starts. When the Brewers faced Wilson, because of course we face the Pirates all the time, a handful of occasions he compiled a 5.52 ERA over a career-high 25 games, 20 starts, and 115 2/3 inning with the Pirates. The 25-year-old began to incorporate a split fastball near the end of the year and finished stronger than he started. Obviously, Wilson is out of minor league options, so the easier path is to the Brewers bullpen if he really wants to get some consideration, or he can start. It's possible something could happen. I think he is definitely a guy that can really compete if he really shows something. He's still young. He's only 25 years old. Major league experience as both a starter and a reliever, I think, is definitely something great. Now, signing these two guys, what does this mean? Well, Corbin Burnes, Brandon Woodruff, Eric Lauer, and Adrian Hauser, they're all free agents in 2024. So, maybe this is a future move that Brewers are trying to make, knowing that neither of those guys are going to probably sign it long term. Now, obviously, of course, Wade Miley will probably be retired by then, but, maybe the Wilson thing is a possible future pitcher, because Freddie Peralta and Aaron Ashby, they're the future of this team, as well as Ethan Small probably coming up eventually to be starts. But you know what? It's interesting that they wanted to make these moves in the first place, because that does say maybe they are going to move on from Corbin Burnes earlier than I thought, or Brandon Woodruff earlier than I thought, or we might even trade Lauer or Hauser or somebody for a hitter or something. I could totally see the Brewers doing that before the season starts. I've been hearing a lot of talk saying that it might be Yandy Diaz from the Tampa Bay Rays. I could totally see us trading for him, a pitcher for him. I would totally do that, because knowing these moves, this makes a lot more sense now. So honestly, anything can happen, but this could mean we might move on from someone. I don't think it's going to be Burnes quite yet, because in order to trade Burnes, you're going to need a massive haul to trade a Cy Young winner. It's just, you're going to get a lot of players from this deal, even bigger than the Hader one. But anything can happen. That's what's important. But it's exciting. It's a very interesting move, because honestly, I have no idea what the Brewers are going to do. So that's all I can say. No other moves from the Brewers. I think this might be it going into training camp. We still got about probably a month until that comes apart. I might be at the... there's no Brewers on deck, unfortunately, but there's a small signing at some restaurant near Miller Park, so that's cool that they're doing that. Willie Adames will be there, and some of the other faces. Craig Counsell will be there, so anything will happen. We'll see what happens. So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, go Brewers. We will see you next time.